Arsenal pick up 3 points against Wolves away from home, but I think the biggest elephant in the room is the first red card for Miles Lewis-Skelly. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the João Gomez red card as well. We're also going to talk about just the game, because I feel like as the scoreline kind of shows us that Arsenal beat them, was it really a dominant performance from Arsenal? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I don't know how the owners of Arsenal, and Arsenal fans, let me know your thoughts down below, because I don't know how the owners of Arsenal can watch this, how the sporting directors, etc., and they don't try and push for January signings to bring in forwards. This front line today was very, I don't like to use the term, but a very smelly one, in my opinion. Of course, Bukayo Saka's out, Odegaard was out as well, Nwaneri is back, Kai Havertz, Trossard, etc. But I just feel like there was zero threat or zero clinical threat in front of goal for Arsenal. Now, Calafiori obviously coming off the bench to actually get the goal, the only goal of the game, but he came on as a result, I guess, of the Miles Lewis-Skelly red card. So let's talk about that, because I don't know how anybody could watch that on repeat multiple times, get different angles, and still think that's a red card. To me, that is not a red card. Nearly 100 yards away from the goal, it's a counter attack. You're stopping the counter. The reasoning is that it's above the ankle. But I've seen Jeremy Doku fly kick a man this season and not get sent off. So it's just it's inconsistency. Sorry, and I understand Arsenal fans, if they're frustrated about that, I think they have every right to be. Because then Gomez gets sent off in the second half. I think it's about like 60 something, 70th ish minute. He gets sent off the back of a yellow card that he already had. But when you actually watch back his tackle, that should be a straight red regardless, because that is what the ref thought Lewis-Skelly's foul was. The reasoning for Lewis-Skelly's foul was above the ankle, stud showing. To me, it was not the case, and Gomez was, and that should have been a red card. And actually, in my opinion, Gomez was actually lucky to not even be sent off for dissent in the second half, because he actually is on a yellow, and then he brings a man down and he kicks the ball away and then runs and grabs another ball and gives it to the Arsenal players. Inconsistency in officiating, that is the biggest problem in the Premier League. And you lot know I'm a United fan, so I see it with Manchester United. There is inconsistency, but this, honestly, if Arsenal did not get that goal, if Calafiori, with a great finish, by the way, shout out to him, because it's a great finish, left foot, across goal. It's the way that it hits his boot that is just so accurate into the corner, and it's actually through a little gap of the back line of Wolves and finish from Calafiori. But if it wasn't for that goal, guys, I think the conversations that people would be having would be a lot more different. I cannot help but be so shocked at the level of officiating in the Premier League. It is so poor. I don't know how you can go to VAR and have people watching it back in multiple different angles and think, yep, not only is that a red card, but we are even going to justify it and say that it's above the ankle, studs showing. It was not. It wasn't a malicious tackle from Lewis-Skelly, who I think for the parts of the game before he got sent off was a very enthusiastic performance from him. He's so good on the ball, and I always say, as a young player, his ability to read the game and his decision making is definitely better than a lot of more seasoned pros that I've seen in the Premier League over my time of watching football. So up until that red card, Lewis-Skelly was playing well, and then that kind of has a dampen on his performance, because it should not have been a red card. I don't know if you lot disagree. Let me know down below in the chat, in the comment section, if you disagree about whether that was a red card or not. Like I said, if Calafiori didn't get the goal, then we would have completely different conversations, and I think all the conversations would be focused on that. Gomez should have got a straight red, whether he was already on a yellow or not. That should have been a straight red, because not only is it studs, it's above the ankle, and it could have been a much worse challenge on Timber. I think it could have resulted into a much worse situation for the player, whereas with Lewis-Skelly, player got up, kept it moving. I don't know if you lot saw, I wish I had a clip for it, but one of the Wolves centre-backs looks back in shock because he saw a red card. I was even shocked that it was a red card. I just thought, oh, counter-attack, he brings a man down. Yeah, nothing malicious in it. It's just going to be a yellow. When I saw the red go up, I thought my screen, maybe there was a colour misfunction or something, and that it was actually a yellow. I was so shocked, and I think from the general consensus that I've seen online, it seems like everybody else, no matter what team they support, are all shocked about that. And this is the problem. It's just the level of officiating. There's no issue with having VAR, because at the end of the day, VAR does come good at it sometimes. But when it's situations like that, where you go to VAR and VAR watches it back multiple times from different angles and doesn't kind of intervene, well, that's just poor. That's just poor. From a statistic perspective, the game was level. Despite that, I felt like Arsenal had a lot more possession, but they actually didn't. That is the crazy thing. I felt like watching the game, I felt like Arsenal didn't. It was practically balanced in terms of chances in goal, and this is why I'm saying Arsenal, they have to go out and buy a striker. The fact that they are able to stay within the realm of the top two, the top three, they're 6 points off of Liverpool right now, who also picked up points, 3 points against Ipswich. But the fact that they're able to stay in and around that position and still breathe down their necks, they are in a title race. And if you're in a title race and your frontline situation is horrendous, and you've got players who are not really clinical in front of goal, not really enthusiastic in front of goal, not really that consistent in front of goal, I don't know how you don't go out and bring in resurgences. You see Manchester City, for example, and I know Man City and Arsenal are not on the same level financially, maybe even in terms of winning consecutive titles, etc. But Manchester City found themselves in a problem this season, and they've gone out and addressed it. They've brought in a second striker in Omar Marmoush. They've brought in defenders, etc., linked to another midfielder. That is what Arsenal needs to do. Arsenal fans, are you happy with this situation right now at Arsenal? Because I cannot fathom how I can watch it as a neutral. I can watch Arsenal games and see the problems in their front line. They had the same number of chances on goal today as Wolves, and I didn't even think Wolves were a threat at any point. I felt like obviously when you got Gabriel and Saliba, I don't feel like a lot of teams can really discourage them, cause problems for them. It's very rare that happens because there's such quality centre-backs, especially this season. The fact that they had the same chances on goal, the same number of shots on target, they actually had one more shot on target, but they had same number of big chances created and same number of big chances missed. I know that the goal, the scoreline says Arsenal won, but Wolves were bad. Wolves were not that great. And I watched that as a United fan, and it makes me even more humiliated at the fact that Manchester United lost to them last month. And not only lost to them, were humiliated by them. I think the only difference is in this game, Wolves could not get any control of possession. They were reckless, lunging into tackles, giving away fouls non-stop. I don't know if it's because they can't go toe-to-toe with Arsenal in terms of when Arsenal have possession, can they press successfully. They can't really do that. So they were just lunging into tackles, giving away fouls non-stop. But in terms of in front of goal and that Arsenal front line, for me, that was just a very bad front line. Like, I watched Martinelli on the right-hand side coming up against Agbadou, who, by the way, Agbadou's first start for Wolves. I think he's come off the bench away from home, but this was his first start at home. He was just phenomenal. Man of the match for me. And it's crazy because he was on the losing team, but that was a man of the match performance. And Martinelli, 1v1 against him, for me, could not do much. He could not do much. Martinelli lost the most number of duels in the game, 14. Arsenal without Bukayo Saka, it's a dire situation, and that's why I want to know what Arsenal fans think. Of course, I think the biggest conversation about everything is going to be about the red card for Lewis Skelly, and I don't know if the ref felt bad that he's ended up sending off Gomez. That was a red card, regardless. It should have been a straight red. But when I'm looking at Arsenal's front line, Kai Havertz, he had the least touches of any outfield player in the game. And that's Arsenal's centre-forward. I know he's not a traditional centre-forward, but he was dropping deep into the pockets of space to link up the ball. I think actually that's where he maybe got most of his touches, was probably in the middle third of the pitch rather than the final third. But Arsenal's front line is a struggle right now. It's a struggle. When Odegaard's not there, in my opinion, Odegaard hasn't been that phenomenal this season. But without Bukayo Saka, Arsenal's identity, there is none. There is none in that front line. And if they don't go out and sign a striker, I think the title will slowly slip away from them, because this kind of game just shows you how small kind of the line is, how thin the line is between not picking up 3 points and potentially dropping points. And we've seen Arsenal drop quite a few points over the last couple of weeks. So they need to figure it out in the January transfer window. But let me know your thoughts down below. Listen, guys, like I said, a lot of these kind of match reviews come in across the Premier League, across European football. So make sure you like and be sure to subscribe if you're new here.